Behind these walls is where I found freedom. I spent over 2,000 days in prison, learning more about myself in this life than I ever could have thought possible.
Just behind these walls, I spent 17,520 hours changing my life. And when I teamed up with Sean, it was to change 1 billion lives for the better. Join us today and level up and become the architect of your greatest life.
What's going on? Sean Michael Crane here with Convicted Mindset. Now, today I want to share with you a story from when I was in prison, something that really illustrates the power of our minds and more specifically the power of belief, right? The beliefs that we have guide everything that we do in life. The way we think, the way we feel, the actions we take, it can all be traced back to our beliefs. For much of my life, I was unconscious to this truth, right? I thought that I would just do things and act certain ways just because, and I didn't really give it much thought. But being stuck in a cell for 24 hours a day for the first couple years of my time in prison drastically changed my mindset, right? It altered my perspective. You know, I became aware of this intuition, this conscience, this voice within us that's always there. But most people are deaf to it, right? They're deaf because they're distracted in their lives. They're just not looking for it. They're not paying attention. They're abusing drugs and alcohol like I used to, whatever the case may be. They're on their phones all day. They're on, watching TV. There's all these distractions. And over time, what it does is it pulls our attention outward when really we need to be looking more internally because that's where all the answers to your problems lie. I promise you that. And you're going to see and recognize things about your life that will change your life. You're going to uncover truths about yourself that are going to radically transform the way you think and feel. And that's what happened to me in prison. And that's why I was able to change my life in prison and then coming home and doing what I get to do now. But today I want to talk to you about a specific event that happened that I'll never forget. At this time, I had been incarcerated for 3 or 4 years, right? I had about a year and a half till I was getting out. And my time was just flying by. I had developed routines that were just allowing me to pour myself into my daily routine. And man, the weeks would go by, the months would fly by, and I could see the light at the end of the tunnel. I think at this time, I might have been working in the kitchen or doing some random job that didn't require a lot of my time. So I'd get up early, I would do my workouts. I told you I was taking college courses and that was occupying tons of time. And I just felt great. I was really close to getting a couple associate's degrees and that was going to get me time off. And I just loved to educate myself too. It gave me purpose. I was in prison, but I felt like a student. I was working out, I was in prison, but I felt like an athlete. Like I used that time to my advantage. So one day, the officer's walking by, and at this time, I'm in a dorm, right? So you're in this area with about 10, 15 other people. So the officer's walking by at night doing his count. And, that's when they pass out what we call ducats. Like, okay, you're going to the sick hall tomorrow to see the nurse, or, oh, you have to go to the law library, or whatever it is. They're giving you, like your gate pass, or, to be able to move around the prison. And he has a little green ducat. That's a job change. And he goes, Crane. And everyone looks over at me. I wasn't expecting to get moved from my current job. Like I said, everything was going smoothly for me at that time. And he said, SAP, you go to SAP on Monday. And this was Friday. And everyone goes, oh man, you're going to SAP. You're going to hate it, right? If you've been in a California prison, you know that SAP stands for Substance Abuse Program. Now, this is like an in-house drug treatment for guys who are incarcerated who have charges related to drugs in their past or their current offense. So everyone looks at me like, man, you're going to SAP. You're going to hate it over there, man. You're not going to be able to do your workouts and all your college courses like you're doing here. It's such a negative environment. The guys over there don't want to be there. They just, they act out all day long and the counselors don't know what they're doing. They can't control anybody. You're going to hate it, man. And I thought, gosh, why is this happening to me a year before I get out? I've been just building myself up steadily, building momentum, slowly changing myself and my life during that time of incarceration. And I wanted nothing more than to finish my college courses, get home, and go live a good life. And I had the whole weekend now to think about the fact that Monday, my routine was going to be thrown off and I was going to be put in this completely different environment from after breakfast until late in the day. I was going to be there for like 6 or 7 hours a day. So I started thinking about this. Over the weekend, I was reflecting on it. And when I showed up on Monday, I didn't show up defeated, expecting the worst, looking for the worst, right? I showed up that day not as Sean Crane, AN number 1137. I wasn't inmate number AN 1137. I was Sean Crane, undercover prison psychologist. Okay. Now you might laugh when you hear that, or you're like, what the hell is this guy talking about? Up until that point, I was studying everything related to psychology, sociology. Those were the studies that intrigued me the most because I was learning about myself and my environment. And so I had been studying, working to get my degrees. Now, I knew that using the power of my mind, I could reframe the situation so that I didn't go to SAP on that Monday already compromised at a disadvantage because of the way I was thinking or my expectations. Okay. So I told myself, I'm not going to go there and just be miserable. I'm going to go there and come out of that facility a better version of myself every single day. And I came up with this idea, right? That I was going to literally train my mind to act like I was a psychologist doing a case study for the Department of Corrections, that I was an undercover psychologist just there to learn more about the inmate population and if this program was actually doing anything to help them, right? That was the perspective and mindset that I showed up on Monday with. And you know what happened? When the guys were acting crazy, when they were talking shit to the counselors, when the counselors were totally incompetent and making fools of themselves, I didn't get mad. I just observed them. I didn't think, oh, these people are just, so stupid. Oh, this is such a negative environment. I'm wasting my time. God, I don't want to be here. I want to be back in the building. If I would have been entertaining those negative thoughts, it would have made me feel really bad, right? I would have been angry, upset, irritable. And that could have led to other issues, right? I would have went back to the building feeling defeated every day, and my time would have slowed down. And my morale would have declined as well. But you know what happened? I started listening to the other guys as they talked about their backgrounds, their stories, what they did in their past, and why they were currently in prison or in that treatment, right? I started looking at the counselors just as people who are still trying to learn and figure themselves out as well. They're not in a prison as counselors because they're some high-level psychologist. They're there to learn and to hopefully get a better job one day, right? Everybody was there, just trying to do their best. That's what I started seeing. Even the guys that were there and they were negative or they didn't want to participate, I just started looking at them and trying to understand why they are that way. What led them to being so closed off? Why are they so combative? Why are they, doing this and that? And what happened is every day I'd leave SAP and go back to the building. And man, I felt accomplished. I felt like every day I was able to learn about the people that I was living amongst, because before that, I was more just closed off. I was tunnel vision on my redemption, on getting out of prison, on bettering myself, on my journey, right? And this opened my mind up to the people around me and starting to learn more and get to know them more. And over time, that approach radically changed the interactions I had with the guys I did time with. They would start to approach me in the building and ask me questions about something I shared in SAP. Or they'd make comments like, man, Crane, how are you so patient and positive all the time? Doesn't this environment get to you ever? Or they'd ask me about my routines and my discipline. They'd see me up in the morning before anyone else, working out before we went to SAP. And then again in the evening when we got back. And they were just intrigued. They were intrigued by my college courses and what I was doing in prison to really be productive. And this led me to building relationships with these guys that I otherwise wouldn't. Right? Some of them ended up enrolling in college courses with me. A lot of them would work out with me every day, and we started, building each other up, supporting each other, motivating each other. A lot of these guys transformed their mindset, their physique, and they started talking differently about what they wanted to do when they got out of prison, right? What happened is, in that experience, in the midst of that experience, I uncovered my purpose was to help people, to work with people. Before that, I never thought of coming out and being a coach. I knew I loved fitness. I knew I wanted to do something to make an impact. But it was in that moment that I truly uncovered my purpose is to serve people. My purpose is to help others to overcome their challenges, right? Whether it's a mental challenge, whether it's a challenge in their environment, their belief system, a lack of education, whatever it is, and transcend that gap to where they really want to be and deserve to be in life. Because what I saw in prison was so many people had tons of potential. They had talent. They had what it took. But a lot of them didn't believe in themselves. And they didn't know what to do to start changing that perspective or that identity. So since coming home, I've started a life coaching business that serves men all around the world. And it can be traced back to that pivotal moment where I made the choice to use my mind to empower me versus defeat me. Now, I want you to think about this story because chances are, just like everybody in our world, you're going through your day already compromised by the way you're thinking. You're expecting negative outcomes or a person in your life to act a certain way, and you're already compromised going into the situation. Imagine if you could learn to reframe the way you think so you're not expecting the negative, but the positive. You're not expecting defeat, but success, right? You're starting to change all of your expectations to be in your favor, rather than work against you. Most people don't realize, but they're walking around constantly with these negative thoughts about themselves and others, constantly projecting into the future about negative outcomes before they've even happened, right? We all do this. And when we do, we're at a disadvantage, and it's going to set us up for failure versus success in life. So that experience in SAP, what it did for me, it taught me that I can always use my mind and my brain and the power of thought to set myself up to be at an advantage, even in the most adverse set of circumstances possible. If I could apply that in that environment, if some of you have been to SAP, you know what it's like, or incarcerated. If I could do that in that environment and then every day in prison going forward, why can't you do it out here in your marriage, in your job, with your kids, with your friends, with yourself? Every thought that you have and every belief needs to be building you up to become the person you want to be and create the life that you want to live, not putting you at a disadvantage and leading you to mediocrity, because you are made for more, and I truly believe that.
Welcome to Convicted Mindset. I'm your co-founder and co-host, Travis Richey.
And I'm Michael Crane.
And we're here to make sure that you have the tips and the tricks and the resources necessary to lead the greatest life possible. We realized with our time spent incarcerated that some of the worst prisons in America were not made of concrete and steel, but were rather the limiting beliefs and the self-doubt and the mindset that didn't serve you to be the best human possible.
We want to take all of the strategies and learning lessons that we uncovered in our time of incarceration and bring those resources to people who feel stuck in their life right now. We've developed 4 pillars of self-mastery that cover mental, physical, spiritual, and financial well-being to give you access to that information so that you can apply it to your life. We've created a Convicted Mindset coaching program to literally walk you through those steps and give you 52 weeks of accountability and support so you can break through any limiting beliefs you have or stuck points in your life right now and really start creating that life 2.0 that you've dreamt of.
What we realized that while we were incarcerated was that access to real life-changing skills was scarce. And so what we want to make sure that we're giving to you are tangible step-by-step resources that help you physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially to take you from where you are to where you know you deserve to be. Join us today at convictedmindset.com and help us level up the world to change 1 billion lives for the better.